Hello everyone, this is James Nussbaumer, and today I want to go over lesson 4 in the workbook for students in A Course in Miracles. This is my raggedy old version, and if you know me, you know where this came from. It's just so true to my heart and so sentimental to this thing. And it's so lesson 4 in A Course in Miracles, the workbook for students. Do you ever worry sometimes, thoughts cross your mind? For example, I'll just discuss a little thing that I worry about often. I have a daughter who is 20 years old right now who has special needs. And she lives in California with her mother, my ex-wife, and I live here in Ohio. And I haven't seen her in a long time, although I know that my daughter is being well taken care of because I know that my ex-wife wouldn't settle for less. But, every now and then it crosses my mind and I worry. I wonder if my ex is really taking care of my daughter. Casey is her name, spelled K-A-C-Y, Casey May. And, of course, deep down I know that she is, but, that thought comes to me and it kind of bothers me for a little bit. I need to get over it. So lesson 4 helps me with something like this of the student, workbook for students. Lesson 4, it's called "These Thoughts Do Not Mean Anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place." Unlike the preceding ones, these exercises do not begin with the idea for the day. In these practice periods, begin with noting the thoughts that are crossing your mind for just about a minute. Then apply the idea to them. If you are ready, aware of unhappy thoughts, use them as subjects for the idea. Do not, however, select only the thoughts you think are bad. You will find if you train yourself to look at your thoughts that they represent such a mixture that, in a sense, none of them can be called good or bad. This is why they do not mean anything. In selecting the subjects for the application of today's idea, the usual specificity is required. Do not be afraid to use good thoughts as well as bad. None of them represents your real thoughts, which are being covered up by them. The good ones are but shadows of what lies beyond, and shadows make sight difficult. The bad ones are blocks to sight and make seeing impossible. You do not want either. This is a major exercise and will be repeated from time to time in somewhat different form. The aim here, though, is to train you in the first steps toward the goal of separating the meaningless from the meaningful. It is a first attempt in a long-range purpose of learning to see the meaningless as outside of you and the meaningful within you. It is also the beginning of training your mind to recognize what is the same and what is different. In using your thoughts for application of the idea for today, identify each thought by the central figure or event it contains. For example, in this exercise, I will just use the term my ex-wife. This thought about my ex-wife does not mean anything. It is like the things I see in this room, on this street, and so on. You can also use the idea for a peculiar or particular thought that you recognize as harmful. This practice is useful, but is not a substitute for the more random procedures to be followed for the exercises. Do not, however, examine your mind for more than a minute or so. You are too inexperienced right now, this early on, as yet, to avoid a tendency to become pointlessly preoccupied. Further, since these exercises are the first of their kind, You may find the suspension of judgment in connection with thoughts particularly difficult. Do not repeat these exercises more than 3 or 4 times during the day. We will return to them later. Okay, this is lesson number 4 in the Course in Miracles, the workbook for students. Now, I've been through these lessons. There's 365 lessons. For those of you that don't know, and it's in the back of the text of the workbook for students is in the back of the text. And there's 365 lessons, one for each day of the year. And the way the Course puts it out is you should take 1 lesson a day. Now, I've been through these lessons while I was away, and for many of you know that I was in prison for 8 years for foolish securities violation. All of those 8 years, I did the 365-day lessons around the clock of the 8 years. So in other words, I went through the 365-day lessons 8 times while I was away, in addition to absorbing the text. So that's why it goes on to say, you know, don't overdo things if you're just starting out. You know, now if you're a more experienced Course in Miracles student and teacher, and I say student and teacher because as you go on and the experienced ones know that, you know, we're teachers and students always. We teach and we're a student, and you know, we learn and we teach at the same time. So my point is that if you're inexperienced, you know, take it easy. Just take 1 day at a time. But if you're the more experienced, I don't need to say because you know for yourself. But what I do as an experienced A Course in Miracles student and teacher is that I'll pick and choose lessons that suit me for what I'm feeling that I need that day, that boost that I might need, or whatever it might be. But for this session on this YouTube video, I'm wanting to go through all the lessons in order for you, my listeners and my viewers who are watching this. So today was lesson number 4, and the idea for the day, once again, is, and I'll end right here, is these thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. Lesson 4 of A Course in Miracles. Thanks for listening to me, and I wish the best for you. Thanks again.